You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
Mic check, mic check. How you doing, everybody? I heard y'all were talking about long hair. I heard you were talking about spiritual issues and people with long hair. Yep. Yeah, I heard y'all people were talking about people with mama issues and long hair. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the stream. It's the American Anchor Baby. I may have mama issues. It may be my mama in me. But I also think I also like it. I've thought all those things. We can get into it. We can get into a number of things today. It's a pleasure to have you here on this fine Tuesday. Nice to be in the lab. We got a bit of a show for you. We'll be getting into it. We're welcoming all of our lovely folks watching on YouTube, watching on rumble.com/AmericanAnchorBaby, watching on punchy.tv/AnchorBaby. We do appreciate everybody. We'll get to everybody. We'll get to the topics, the calls. That's 844-900-2229. And we'll get to the topics, the super chats, the Rumble rants, and the coffees. Buymeacoffee.com/AnchorBaby. Welcome to the stream. Jesus had long hair. Is that true? I don't know if anybody knew what Jesus looked like. Sometimes they say real. Some say Jesus didn't have long hair. Do you remember? Some say, many say, well, many claim to know what Jesus looks like. Some say, at least famously, the BBC. What was this? Remember? What did Jesus really look like? What did he really look like? Some say short hair. What? Caveman Jesus? Some say black. Some say Asian. I've seen an Asian Jesus. I've seen a Korean Jesus. Those Koreans, they love Jesus too. I take it as them loving their Lord. Maybe some more than others. For many, it's a fight. Let's be real. But yeah, Jesus' long hair. I don't know. Some say, did the Bible say Jesus is ugly? Was ugly? Is ugly? Was ugly? Good question. The Bible never directly says Jesus was ugly, but in Isaiah it says he had no beauty. And this is a prophecy. This is a prophecy Christians interpret as referring to the Messiah. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. Anyways, welcome to the stream, welcome to the show, 844-900-2229. It might be, not might be, it is immaturity, mama, caring about your looks so much. I mean, I've been thinking about that since I read it in one of Jesse's books, Black Men, and how the way they attract women is how they learned it from their mothers, using the physical, using the looks, the sensuality. Hey, something interesting about it. Personally, it's a career move for me. Okay, it's just looks maxing career move. At least that's what it started off as. Okay, personally, it's just because internally, I'm still the individual I think I am. But anyways, okay, it's a career move. Okay, it's not okay. I understand the immaturity of the long hair and the spiritual. I may have my mom in me, but it's a career move. It's looks maxing. At least that's what it started off as. This is what it ended up as. It started off as looks maxing. That was the dream. That was the blueprint, the plan. How do we spread the message? Have Bond going 100 years? And then it ended up like this. Okay? So, it ended up also maybe a little bit of this. Okay? Maybe a little bit of this. Shout out. Okay? Look. Whatever. It's a yoke. Okay, anyways, welcome. Appreciate everybody tuning in here. I want to get into a number of things here. I was working on something. Let me just save this. Working on a little something here, but we're monitoring the situation. You know, there's a number of things going on. The government shutdown and all this stuff. Okay, government shutdown. Will they shut down? And a number of things, but where was I here? You know, you could be part of the Discord. That's what I wanted to say first. 844-900-2229 is one way. The other way you can call in is if you're part of the Discord. The description is in the the link is in the description. You could join up, chat it up with the folks. Leave me a little post here in the viewer news and content section. And we'll get to what you're into, what you're talking about. And if you see me at the one at a time voice channel, jump in, say hello. I'm taking calls, taking topics. Right on. You know, voice crying in the wilderness. What's up, John? I don't mean to dox. He posted this one. I saw a little bit of this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's play this. Let's totally play this. This is good. This is quite interesting. So thank you for that. Viewer content. We'll get to the rest of you guys probably like later in the week. These are like long posts. You guys want to really get into a number of things here. We'll do that. Charlie Kirk. Take this one in. This is the title of the video. If someone were to murder me. This was posted 3 days ago, but obviously this was said some time ago. He was asked about the death penalty in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And he's here speaking with an individual I'm not familiar with, Alex McFarland. Okay. Now, I don't know when this was. But hey, you're following here. If someone were to murder me, right? He comes at it from a very Christian angle. Anyways, let me just let it play a bit here.
Murder me. They already murdered themselves.
And by the way, just once, let me know, how's my voice compared to the music and all that? Appreciate it. Let me know about the mix. Give me a 1 in the chat. Is Nick scamming with that headset? What are you talking about? Excuse me, sir. You really think Jesus would be busted? Are you saying ugly, like busted ugly? What do you say? So Jesus would have to be beautiful? Like just a total Chad? Long flowing hair? Look, I moved on too quick. What was I thinking here? Oh, anyways, about the hair. Here's what it is, what I wanted to say real quick. Kind of still comedic. I moved on too quick. About the hair and the length. Call it the... What do you call it? You know how some people, you know how some generations, some fellas, they don't they don't have if they're sitting in the passenger seat of their girl's car and she's driving them around. You know, some guys don't have that internal check, something that tells them that that's something's wrong about that. It looks wrong. It seems wrong. You know, in that same way, although I felt that when I was in the passenger seat of the car, I'm like, I can't let this happen anymore. And I was young, but in that same way, I don't think I have it for certain hair. For certain hair. I mean, I think it looks good. That's what I'm trying to say. I think it looks good. Okay. Mike O'Hearn. This is what I'm thinking of. I'm really thinking of a particular. I don't think all long hair on guys is good, but this particular flow, kind of split in the middle where you kind of show in the face. Okay, that's just one guy. XQC is like some streamer guy. He's more like liberal, like little and beta, but I'm thinking of this hair too. Okay, and these guys aren't like tough. I know he's tough. Look, Michael Hurd, don't beat me up. You're awesome. I love you. But look, XQC, you're a nice guy. You see, don't sue me. You're like whatever. But you know, they're beta, whatever. And you know what I mean? Beta, like, it's hard to find a truly strong man. Let's be real. That's rare. You can have the muscles. You can do this and that. So on the long hair, you know, it's just not there. I think it looks good. Who's more ripped, Mike or Hake? Okay, it's enough. I was giving you the range. Ripped and like a little guy. Hake is definitely swole. You don't want to mess with Hake. So let's keep it moving here. We're about to play this Charlie Kirk video, and he's got short hair. He's like a solid guy, okay, and it shows in the hair. Let's be real. I don't want to deny. Let's not deny. Let's not be like deniers here, okay? And he's talking about if someone were to murder me.
In that action, they already bestowed the punishment upon themselves. We are simply
Nick, who's flying the plane? If you're here and I'm here. Okay.
If someone were to murder Alex or murder me, they already murdered themselves in that action. They already bestowed the punishment upon themselves. We are simply completing the task. When you take another person's life, you already took your own life.
I have concerns over things like the death penalty. Is it? It's one of the 10 Commandments. You should not murder. So, is it somehow justified because they're such a horrible criminal, or are they eliminating or changing the trajectory of God's plan for what it was supposed to be because they murdered somebody and they didn't go when God was ready for them?
Great question. So I get this question a lot. So it does say do not murder. It does not say do not kill. So those are two different Hebrew words, right? So to murder is a completely different thing than to kill. For example, you're allowed to kill in self-defense. Somebody comes into your house, you are allowed to take that life if your life is being put into jeopardy. In fact, to go a step further,
right?
The reason...
I mean, that's a kind of a common one. You hear that. Some conservatives, although lately and more as it gets more feminine, you know, that becomes more of a, I guess, like a touchy topic. But I've heard this before, and Christians saying that about thou shalt not murder versus thou shalt not kill. And so it's like a classic kind of Christian thing when I think about it. And it speaks to this kind of his Christian thinking. You know, you gotta there's something to be said about, you know, Christian and non-Christian thinking. That's not a commentary on your heart and like you being saved. That's a commentary on, it's a cultural thing. I'm being very vague there, but it has its place. You know, imagine a populace taught on this. I mean, they just would know. They would just know that it's not what you're thinking, you know, because who has taken up that vacuum? The women have. Okay, so when that question comes up, now it's been answered, and because you don't have the vacuum's there, so the women swoop in, and you're like, well, where's the answer? Well, you know, I'm here, and it's like, you gotta let a, you can't be God, but it has nothing to do with that, and to go further, I'll let him speak here in a moment because he's about to get even deeper into the Christian thing, I personally don't think you even have to. No, not that you don't have to go there, but I just don't think like that. Where I just don't think like I don't personally think like that, in that God being that involved in our affairs and me and us people, and really I'm thinking people in charge of their part of society. They're, you're responsible. You preside over what you can preside over. People end up in these positions, and so so for me, I don't think they answer to a God individual, like internally, but when the reasoning as to remove someone from society can be, for me, kind of like in society. I don't have to go outside of this world society. I could say you're not following the rules. You've become far too anti-society, anti-social. So you've made your decision. You must be removed. And let God handle that. The rest, the spirit, his sin, and all that. That's where God handles that. It's not our place. And so I hear this from the Christians, not to like nitpick further. I'll let it play. Let me let it play. Let me let him say the Christian stuff.
To ancient Israel. Did you know that a life for a life, otherwise known as the death penalty, is the only law that is in all 5 books of the Torah? It's the only
Christian stuff. Christian stuff.
Not even the Sabbath is in all 5 books of the Torah. Now, the Sabbath exists in Genesis, but it's not in all 5 books. So this idea of taking a life if you take a life, what is it rooted in? Why does it matter? Well, first of all, God is communicating to us the first thing. Taking human life is a major deal. That's God's first moral teaching in the Torah, that it's not to be trivialized. Let me give you another example. There's a law of the 613 laws of Judaism, of which we are not bound to the ceremonial law, which is one of them, that if an animal takes a human life, you must kill that animal. Okay, so it's like, okay, that's like, why do that? Well, what are you gonna have? Oh yeah, that's Lenny. He killed my uncle, and say hi. Like, you're gonna keep that animal around? The only punishment imaginable for taking the thing that only we are made in the image of God. So if you take another image bearer's life, what could possibly be a just punishment for that? Well, according to the economy of God, it's that your life must also be taken.
See, this is what I mean. Image bearer, like if maybe this is a judgment of mine, but it seems almost egotistical for me to go around deciding who's an image bearer and what should and shouldn't happen to image bearers. This person just shouldn't be in society, and I feel nothing. And you really should. One should feel nothing about it, or society should feel nothing about it. In a sense, it should be emotionless. Because how do I put this? It's not about being heartless. Okay, you don't wish harm on somebody. It's just, at some point, it's about for those who want to still be part of society. I mean, there used to be banishment, I guess, but where do you banish somebody? Look, whatever. I mean, they used to execute people when they banished too. So all I'm saying is this whole image bearer thing, and why you'd kill that animal. He's saying, because how can I keep this animal around that killed my dad? Right? It's not. It's like, again, it's like how he feels about it. Whatever. Things I'm thinking about out loud. It's like a Christian thing, but I like it still, in that, imagine this would be like a net positive if culturally this was this, because look how average people, this is like a thing you got to go through. The death penalty, it's like you got to unravel it. They're so far gone. They think that you have society, you have blood on your hands if you do this. You think that you're wishing harm on them, or you're heartless. Like, think about how brainwashed you have to be to think those things. It's like a uphill battle. Imagine a populace just kind of that knows this. This would be a net positive. So,
and according to
but it's interesting as well in context with Erica Kirk and all this talk about forgiving the killer and not wanting the death penalty because she's gonna have blood on her hands. That's a lie. That's a lie that comes from the brainwashing of the whole of our society. Okay, the deep brainwashing to think that you should be emotionally invested in that at all. over the crime committed that someone else committed. That's crazy. This didn't happen to you. You know, you realize our battle is uphill. It's like worse than, you got to know what the death penalty is. It's like you believe emotions are real. Like, it's a spiritual battle. But anyways, and she wants to go around leading stuff. It's so weird. It's such it's a bad look. It's so weird. It's so wrong. Erica Kirk over there.
Scriptural theology, we are not taking that person's life. When you take another person's life, you already took your own life.
Deep.
I want you to think about that.
Deep.
If someone were to murder Alex or murder me, they already murdered themselves in that action. They already bestowed the punishment upon themselves. We are simply completing the task. And think about it. Some people will say, but Charlie, you know, it's not fair because of whatever sob story liberal reason.
Christians know this.
How is it, you know, what? Yeah. And honestly, no. And I'll just close with it. I'll kind of finish with this. But you know who it's not fair to? It's not fair to the victims. You are cheapening the lives of the victims. You are basically saying the victims die and you get to live. So you get to continue to live even though you took the lives of others. So for example, I think it's fundamentally wrong that creep who killed those 4 college kids in Moscow, Iowa, that he gets to keep living. So he kills.
See what I mean? Oh, he gets to keep living. How do I express what I want to say? Let me just say that. I'm about to express. How about that? I'm about to tell you. Put it like this. When I hear when I hear him speak, this whole thing, I'm like, he's right. Okay, he's like right in this level that I understand, in this basic level, practical level that I get, and I appreciate. I do have another thought, and I don't know how deep it is, but I'll speak freely. Honestly, we could discuss. I got calls coming in. Thank you. I'll get to all of you. 844-900-2229. But when I hear Christians talk, like, here's how I put it. The need to go so deep into scripture and what God is thinking to make decisions about life and society. Christians are probably going like, what do you mean, Nick? You don't. It's like something. It's something suspicious about it. Like you have to go too far. You have to go far. You're having to go too far to make something to make a decision on something that you don't have to go that far on. I don't think you need to go into like what God would do to these people to say they should have the death penalty, or how bad this Kohlberger guy makes you feel, and how disgusted you feel that he's alive when others are dead. Like, that has nothing to do with it. You shouldn't be a society has committed a crime that's just way too far. No point in. There's just gone way too far, and it must be chilled in the populace. And so, you know, and it says like, when they get all like into like what God and the scripture is saying about it, I think it makes me think about like when people are saying stuff like when people are saying stuff like, oh, I'm thinking about some of this religious stuff. I saw this video. This Christian guy was talking about why America must support Israel, for example. And it's like this religious thing. It makes me think of like just assumptions, just way too big assumptions. But anyways, where was I? Look, death penalty. The guy's right. Thanks for the viewer video. Voice in the Wilderness over there on Discord. Make sure you're part of it. It's like when they're talking about like, you get what I'm saying, right? Like, you don't need to go that far into like righteous anger and all that to say what you're saying here, Kirk, I think. And then it gets weird with like prophecy scripture. So Charlie, the right has zero solution to this, they're saying. Okay. And guess who said this? It's our gal. Not so erudite was on the Fallen stage. She's a nice gal. Okay. She was a great guest, a great sport. A little back and forth with Jesse. Jesse's telling her, hey, this is proof why we shouldn't have irrational, women in office and stuff. They're irrational. And, not so erudite was calm and even well-spoken. That doesn't mean she was rational. Okay? Not so erudite, which means not so smart, I think, right? Erudite. Having or showing great knowledge or learning. A little bit of self-deprecation, okay? And so not so erudite posted about this. Look, Irina, you're familiar with this terrible image. In that train, stabbed by this individual, which, by the way, what happened to that guy? DeCarlos Brown Jr. What's the news on this guy? Atrium Health to release DeCarlos Brown medical records. Okay. But what's happening to him? On Monday, September 29th, Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office asked the court for Atrium Health to release Brown's medical records, including psychiatric and psychological evaluation. According to the motion, after the August 22 attack, Brown was treated at the Atrium Health Medical Center for the hand injury. While at the hospital, investigators believe Brown made statements to hospital staff that could be relevant to the case. Monday's motion argues Brown's medical and mental health records could play a role in determining his mental state and competency to stand trial. So he's essentially hasn't stood trial or anything yet. A grand jury indicted Brown in September for first-degree murder, and a judge ordered him to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. I was saying this the other day. Wait, or maybe I was having a conversation with somebody. But there's something so wrong about, and we'll get right back to not so erudite. There's something so wrong, I think, about how do I put it? It's like this assumption of how helpless and look, it's like this thinking is like if they're mentally ill, if they don't pass this evaluation, then there's no punishment in a sense. They go in a different path. And I guess there's a punishment. Do they even go to asylums anymore? Where do they put them? Where do they put them if they're crazy? But here's the thing. You're not so crazy that you can't be punished, I think. I look, crazy people exhibit, even like Down syndrome people, even like they exhibit a sense of self-preservation, of lying, of wanting to lower their penalty. So there's something wrong about treating them different, I think. Which sounds funny, right? But Nick, they're disabled, they're developmentally challenged, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not saying that you should put them in every area of life. You should make them lawyers and all that. If they can't do something, they can't do something. But here's on the other on another perspective though, or just looking at it a different way. They shouldn't be precluded from punishment though. Or consequence or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just speaking on noticing that even like the craziest people in like these interrogations express a level of self-preservation that speaks to some knowing, okay? Some knowing of you did something wrong. He could be normal with clozapine. Stop letting your emotions rule you, Nick. Look, and if they can't, they're so crazy. They keep committing crimes. They keep killing people. They keep doing this or that. If they can't, they must be removed from society. So Not So Erudite says, the right has zero solution to this, by the way. Paranoid, schizophrenic, violent outbursts require an integrated care system. Amazing. To ensure he has access and is taking his medication. And they just defunded school lunches. They won't fund this. That's the shot. Here's the chaser. Here's the top comment, like responding to this. No, he needs to be executed. She writes, in case anyone is wondering, the most comment quote tweet of this post is this. And this guy named Kirito Republican, I guess. An anime Republican. Okay. It's a big tent. Okay. It's a big tent. Okay. Anime Republicans, transgender Republicans. I'm not happy about it, but I think we can accept Kirito Republican. He says, no, he needs to be executed. What happened to the no solution to this? That sounds like one right there. That sounds like one right there. The right has zero solution to this. And there's something that gets me about this, about requiring an integrated care system. Look, I'm not a doctor, but don't we have that? Don't we have that? Like, don't we have the most research on mental health and awareness than ever, and the most people diagnosed and the most people going to doctor? Yeah, there's this. She's also saying that there are some who aren't in the system. They fell through the cracks, not taking medication, etc. But what about all the people on medication? And they're on medication, diagnosed bipolar, all this stuff, and they go out and kill. They do all this stuff. The medical industry tells us there's more than ever. You look it up. Ever since the creation of the psychiatric drugs, of the designations and classifications of schizophrenia to mental health and all this stuff, to the antidepressants, track it all the way. It's just been an ever increasing. More and more people are crazy and depressed and whatever. It's just something that gets me about reading this sentence, like, require an integrated care system. I think we have that. It's not working. But, it's like a part of me is like, I'm not a doctor. I don't really know. There's probably some interesting things there. I think directionally, I mean this in a vague way. There's maybe actors, I had like a doctor call me the other day, right? When they give me this information, he wasn't disagreeing with me, just give me a better view. There might be actors in there trying to change things, make things better. I don't know. But in general, I have this general view of it. We have an integrated care system. All we have is that. It's like more of that than ever. And they say we need more money to the schools, more money to these schools. Look, they can't read. We got to pay them even more. And she's talking about school lunches. They just defunded school lunches. Are they really still on that? Like, is that like an old hippie liberal kind of thing? Like, hey, just fund the schools, bro. Just fund the schools and just, fund the black community. And like, I don't think you could say that anymore. Like, we kind of have seen the fruits of that. Okay. The mama spirit kills. The mama spirit is death. The mama spirit suffocates. The mama spirit weakens. The mama spirit feels bad for DeCarlos Brown and is never going to really have a real solution to this. And it's not about even really having a real solution. What's a real solution? Like actually fix DeCarlos? No, it's about we got to do our best to keep it going here, society, blah, blah, blah. For those who want to be here. We're trying our best here. You know what I'm saying? Not so erudite. Oh, yeah, she's like, in response to this, is this a bot or nut? It can only be a bot or a nut. But shout out, not so erudite. On the fallen state, very cool. School lunches. Girl got stabbed with school lunches. Hiya. What'd you guys get for school lunch? What do you mean? Nobody eats school lunches? See, I heard that stuff growing up, but I heard it memed on cartoons or stuff, but I don't know. We had bomb cafeteria. We had a poutine, Jamaican beef patties. Yo, how come I talk about Jamaican beef patties? You guys look at me like like I'm crazy. Like, is this really not that American? And I've asked this maybe 3 times. And I'm still not that sure. I'm thinking the East Coast knows this well, but tell me. Square Pizza, shout out Square Pizza. The big cookies. And maybe it wasn't the healthiest, But sometimes they had like sometimes the hot food section. Sometimes I could get lasagna, chicken parm, the chicken parm sandwich. Let's go. And obviously the Jamaican beef patties. Like only Torontonians know Jamaican beef patties, Nit. So Zenny, so for real, like they just don't get us. Okay, Zenny, I'm gonna put you on something. Let's see if anybody else has done it, or if it's only in my creation. Jamaican beef patty, and a Kaiser bun. Zenny, I'm about to put you on. Okay, do they still have Rabbas? Do they still have Rabbas in Canada, Zenny? Kaiser bunny, no, Kaiser bun. Okay, get you a Kaiser bun. And if you're not in Canada and you're not privy to the Rabba stores, don't worry, you can just follow the instructions. Get you a Kaiser bun. You're going to need mustard, okay? Plain yellow, as you're used to on your hot dogs will do, but you can get funky with it. You're going to need mayo, okay? Mayonnaise, okay? You can get funky with it. You can get all aioli with it. You're going to need lettuce. Make it iceberg, make it butter. I don't care, but make it big and leafy, okay? Okay? You following so far? Okay, this is where it gets crazy. You get the Jamaican beef patty. Okay? Heat it up. Make it hot. Crispy. I don't know how you do it. Quick Mike, toast it up. You're fancy with it. That's fine. Cut the, if you know where you're going with it. No, Nit, the better way is a cocoa bun, but they are hard to find. Okay. Zenny with the alt move here. That's solid. I'm not familiar with the Coke. Whoa. Zenny coming in strong. This maybe it's a thing. You're telling me the Jamaican was coming through me? Naturally, see, look, what I did was I had this individual at Rabba cut a Kaiser bun in half, put the mustard, the mayo, the lettuce, and the Jamaican beef patty. And it was like a Jamaican beef patty sandwich. It was crazy. I was like, it was genius. Okay, that was lunch for months. But you're telling me other individuals have, it's almost wrong because it's already wrapped in like a dough. So is it already a sandwich? Okay. It's definitely a meat pocket. Okay? I'm Jamaican. Okay, that's funny. It's definitely a Jamaican beef patty is definitely a meat pocket. We're clear on that, right? Like an empanada. Okay? That's a meat pocket, right? Or like a samosa. Huh? We got meat pockets, okay? See, the whole world likes the same food, okay? Everybody has the same food. Meat pockets, sandwiches. Okay, some peoples were pioneers. They said they call them bland. They call their food bland, and they have no spices. Where are the spices? But meat pockets, sandwiches, all the foods that everybody eats. It's like pretty sure it's like European, baby. So meat pockets, what are those are those a subcategory of sandwich, folks? What do you say? Don't say meat pocket, kids. And so it's almost sacrilege where it's like you already have a sandwich in a sandwich. It's crazy. What is the best meat pocket? I don't know. Call me biased. But I've tried them all. I've tried many meat I've tried all sorts. But the particular Colombian empanada, not any other empanada. All the other ones are okay. They suck. They're okay. Some people put olives in them. No, the Colombian crispy, tiny, bite-sized empanada, or just the 2-bite ones. I'm sorry. It's over. Name a better meat pie. There might be better. There might be good ones. Sorry. Name a better meat pocket. A meat pie. Now that's different. And that is also incredible. And I think we got to go to the UK for that. I think we got to shout out the English for one of the greatest creations of all time. The meat pie. Let's be real. Let's be absolutely real. Dumplings? I'm not thinking about the soft pie. That's fair. That's deep. I didn't think about dumplings. I didn't think about even steam buns. Bao? Even baos? Dang, we got a big contender here. Steam buns and dumplings. Ooh. All right, let's move on here, folks. Calm down. Everybody calm down. I made my caller go away. 844-900-2229. Incredible. We barely got into, what did we get into? Charlie here, the right having zero solution. So that was our viewer video, so thank you for that. Nit is getting hungry. The gains. So here's, what do we have next? Let's see here. Okay, so this one's controversial. Okay. Netanyahu and free speech. And so let's get into it here a little bit. Essentially, Netanyahu, as Disclose TV is reporting, this is how they write it. Netanyahu mission briefed American influencers today, stating TikTok is the most important weapon in securing Israel's right-wing support. Weapons change over time, and the most important weapons are the social media. The most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. So I got a couple of videos here to kind of set this out because it is controversial, or what's the word? Provocative, right? In that there's been a commentary as of late concerning Israel and America and the desire to control narratives on the internet and social media. Okay, so that's where it goes. Check out the first post I got and who I got it from. Candace Owens, and I want you to take this in. She writes, Trump just allowing Israel to purchase our speech because he's entirely impotent when it comes to Bibi. Israel is so retarded that they don't realize this purchase will have the opposite desired effect. So let's watch this a bit because
Christian influencers.
I have my own thoughts on it. And I have a difference in certain characterizations of this, especially kind of how some of it what Candace said. So let's see here.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said.
Are you able to hear this? Hold on. Let's boost the audio. Let's do a little boost.
You talked about the woke right. And you said, Christian influencers. Okay. You said.
Pardon. How about we do that again? Boost it even more.
You talked about Christian influencers. Okay. You said. You talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke right, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies.
Are you familiar with this terminology? I'm somewhat familiar. I've heard it thrown around. I forget who was throwing it around, but I remember it wasn't people I trusted who was throwing around woke right. And I've gathered woke right is like a characterization of the right wing that's acting like the left. It's either when they act like the left. And where was it? I'm trying to think of who said it, but anyways, woke right. Yeah, when they say they're like about cancel culture and stuff.
But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influences. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And
So, what he's talking about there is just facts. Like, just think about it. If you let's just without putting emotion, without putting in like, let's think about it strategically. If you were playing a game of Risk, political influence or whatever, he's describing, and I don't know how true or it's not. He's saying that there's an anti-Israel campaign on the internet, essentially. He's saying it's funded by NGOs and all that. It's big money that's doing this. But in the very same way, he wants to use their money. And in that same way, I know people saw that and they're like, wow, this is, it's like he's telling on himself. They want to control the narrative. On that, yes, he's saying it out loud. But on the other thing, your particular offense to it, I find it immature or unsophisticated, because that's what everybody wants, especially when it stands, whatever it is, whatever the influence is, whatever he's talking about, it stands to have a great effect, negative, positive. Here he's saying negative, to his nation, right? The public opinion of Israel is tanking. And so it's a matter, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like a matter, it's strategically speaking, he's being quite honest. So your particular offense tells me you that you lack a sophistication, because it, to me, and I lack it too. Let me be real. Look, it's just that to me, I at least know one extra thing that you do, which is like a relationship is two ways. And so for whatever nerve Israel may have with our relationship, where are the Americans? Where are the people on our side that facilitated, allowed it, or okay, whatever, etc. If it is to be negative, that's kind of my thinking about it, right?
we fight back.
So he's being quite honest. Like, hey, we're not, our social media presence is bad, and if we care about Israel, if we care about if we care about that, we need people on our side. And he's just being honest about that.
We fight back.
Look, the thing is, people are taking this as like, wow, big money coming in to influence our influencers. So what? People, so Benjamin Netanyahu is just paying money is paying money to brainwash Americans. But what about those influencers? You know, are they you know, because they're saying like, oh, he's just purchasing speech. So they sold their speech. So they sold their speech, these influencers. And that's not to say, that's not me saying, by the way, that's not me being ignorant to, look, because look, because I understand, look, here, I understand this. Look, people are saying, okay, oh, you know, there's the response to, the response to, oh, Israel is purchasing speech to brainwash Americans is, hey, but those are free people who are selling their speech, so it's not really fair to say that you're purchasing. So that's the response. That's not to say that one should ignore. That's not to say that you have to ignore the facts. The facts are they're putting the money up. They're putting the money up to do this. Israel wants to do it. So that's a fact, even if it is like understandable because they want to defend and have a reputation online. And this, he's going to tell you in a moment here, the weapons change. It's true. It's an information war. That understanding all that doesn't change the fact. I mean, the fact remains. Who's putting up the money? It's like they're putting up the money. They want to do this. That's fine. You can understand it strategically speaking, but that doesn't change that fact. That being said, the other fact remains as well, that these people are selling their speech. Now, them selling their speech is not the whole story. The other side is they're putting up the money. So there's your whole story. But I'm just telling you how the space I have with it. I mean, look, you got Candace here. Trump just allowing Israel to purchase our speech. It's that might be true about it might turn people away, but I don't know. Like, I'm like, for example, some things are still up in the air for me. Like, for example, them info like where was I going with that? So, about the Israel situation. One thing, like, there's some things that are still up in the air for me, and they're, for example, here's what I'm getting at, because they're trying to fix misinformation, and for me, like, for example, I'm someone who's it's in the up in the air for me in terms of like, is the Muslim thing actually a big issue though? Is it actually a big enough issue and big as they say? Like, it's up in the air for me. I mean, I look at the cities being taken over and all that stuff. But where was I? What else was I saying about this? I guess I had another video
I
here.
think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important.
Oh, no. Right here.
Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media.
So he's just telling you what he's doing there.
The purchase that is going on right now is class
What?
TikTok
and X.
Number one.
The number one purchase, the most important thing.
Number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now.
Maybe it may be obvious to you, Nick, but he's going for the younger generation. Wait, what? What are you saying here? That sounds like opposing statements. Are you saying it, or were you saying that it may not be obvious to me? No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying earlier. That's why they're doing this. Strategically speaking, it's like it makes total sense. For those that are like, "Whoa, my God, look, he's saying the secret part out loud." No, he's saying he's saying it out loud because it's the normal way to think, to not want, and this is how they think. Like, maybe he's wrong or lying. I don't know. And on some things, it's still up in the air for me. Like Hamas puts their people in the hospitals. Hamas puts their people at the aid sites. So when people tell me Israel is so terrible, I mean, it's up in the air for me. I don't know. And so you can understand this. It makes total sense. That's a normal way of thinking, especially if you're Bibi who thinks this is total misinformation. We need our team to fight this back and make it clear.
He's not an enemy.
But anyways, what else about this? I mean, foreign nations are like, with that, maybe you don't know where you stand, but here's one thing: foreign nations are, information and your attention is very important. It's like valuable, and deep things are going on essentially. Anyways, whatever. No, the number's scrolling up here. You see it up top, 844-900-2229.
Okay. You said, you talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation.
I think we already saw this.
TikTok. TikTok.
All the videos I had?
Number one.
What else did I have on this? I guess I don't have anything else on this. BB. You know, Joshua John, this guy, what's going on with that guy? And is this really him? Speculation on the internet and all that. So ice shooter Joshua John was also a furry. Is that fair to say? He's wearing a funny hat. You know, it may just be like volume a little low. What do you mean? Oh, you mean on the BB clip? But we're done with that, right? Because you guys are a little on a delay. I mean, he's at least maybe anime friendly for those in the know. When you say, you know, these hats, they have them at the conventions and they go around. Get that thing off my screen. I don't even know if that's really Joshua. Anything else happen to this guy? I guess he's dead, so nothing else can happen. Nick, is that your brother? Every time I look like I'm cousins and brothers with the shooters, the criminals, the Bankman Frieds, the Joshua Johns. Okay, no relation as far as I know, but we're still on the quest to find my father, so we don't know. Nick's cousin, maybe. But furry, man, I don't know. Isn't that, you know, is there a pattern going on here? The rise of the nihilistic edgelord killers. Oh, that's some other article. You know, someone had posted something near, you know, under this picture, this alleged picture of this guy. And it was this thread on Adam Lanza. And I don't know if I knew this. You know, I've watched the Hake Report. He's talked about Adam Lanza a number of times. He may have mentioned this. And this is like years ago now, right? This is 2012, Sandy Hook. Okay? But, you know, when you look it up, it doesn't really say he's right wing, or it doesn't really say that. I think I read somewhere they said it's not politically motivated. Where did I read that? The Adam Lanza thing for 2012. Yeah, right here. The FBI and Connecticut State investigation pointed to severe mental health struggles and social isolation as part of the reasoning behind Adam Lanza. And I don't know if I knew the following information. I feel like maybe Hake reported on it or whatever. But this thread reveals some information about him. It's to me revealed. Adam Lanza's recordings, and apparently found in 2021, so, you know, years later, expressed strong interest in antinatalism as well as pedophilia. Adam Lanza's YouTube channel, Cultural Philistine. So they apparently had some YouTube channel that was not discovered until September 2021, 9 years after the shooting. Public interest had waned at that time. The YouTube channel contained only audio but matched recordings of Lanza's voice. The strongest evidence that the channel belonged to Lanza is that it includes readings from a 35 college application essay that Lanza had submitted on the topic of pedophilia. And topic about antinatalism, about how life is suffering and bringing life into the world is a crime. You know, essentially because you're bringing them into suffering. It has a bend to it to me. With these other people, kind of, there is a collection, a constellation of like ideology / I don't know, upbringings, people that have like you know, very very fringe thinking on society, sex. I mean, the the LGBT people are the ones that are like, hey, P should be part of it. LGBT pedo, should be part of it. They shouldn't be judged. So I don't know if he's a furry. That's just what they're saying on X. Joshua Yan. It's terrible. Terrible. But anyways. Nick, is that your sister? What the? Jew Lanza? Where's that coming from? I don't trust the furries, Nit. Leave my questions about my family alone. Leave that alone. Maybe it's my cousin. Anyways. 844-900-2229. Furry, though, I usually think of the whole costume. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Rumble. Appreciate the support. Shout out. Big shout outs, rumble.com/AmericanAnchorBaby. Punchy.tv/AnchorBaby. Shout out to Nicole and Jim, the true. The ones, the true. Alpha Vlad, what is your prime goal out of making these streams? To entertain and inform, I guess. I mean, people come and watch me too, and so I'm just kind of like myself, trying my best to be. Not trying my best. I'm just like taking calls. Like everybody knows that heavily involved with Bond and Jesse Lee Peterson, and committed to that, and like, and committed to what he was saying about building a network. I really don't think about it much beyond that, sir. Thank you, Alpha Vlad. Just come here and be the American Anchor Baby and be and take calls and also verify. What's the word? What Jesse told us. Put out real info. If you don't know, you don't know. But verify right. So that's also part of it. What Jesse told us, and I agree with that. I love it. Put out real info. I forget how exactly you put it, but it's essentially that. And we're just like James and Derek and Jesse, like we're just like people that came together to we believe the message and all that, and we're just like regular people. And we really just run on you guys. Like your support. That's really all we do. Yeah, we just run on your support. So that's what's up. Thanks, Alpha Vlad. Nice to see you in the chat. Shout out. I think we got Russia in the house. I don't mean to dox. Am I doxing? Who's that? That might be a different Alpha Vlad. That might be a totally different guy. So shout out. By the way, Kakskazat beta male naruskum. Please let me know. Kakskazat also I have many questions, honestly. Kakskazat alpha male. Kakskazat Eucharist naruskum. That'd be nice. Nick casting spells on us. Or, like, if I just keep asking you that, I'll probably learn the whole language. Привет, Привет, Zenny. Привет, Zenny, from Canada.
My Canadian brother.
How you doing, sir? Nice to hear from you.
Russian.
That means hello. Or,
yes, I'll say hello back to you.
welcome,
I think
sir.
of some other way to say it, but couldn't think of it. How do you say hello in Hebrew?
That's a good question. I don't know any
That's a
Hebrew.
good
I
one.
don't think. I know very little Hebrew.
I should know it.
That's an interesting one to learn.
Oh yeah, shalom.
Shalom,
Shalom.
duh. See, the trick is you learn.
Shalom,
See,
duh, we should know that.
I know, right? In America, no.
Bonjour.
The trick is
Konnichiwa.
I learned how to say in that language, and then from that key, I branch out into some semblance of understanding. So like как сказать means how do you say, and на русском means in Russian. So if you say как сказать toothpaste, на русском, a Russian will tell you how to say that word in Russian. Yep.
Remember that for next time. So I want to talk about the TikTok takeover by the Talmud people.
All right, let's talk about it.
So what was your main, I didn't really catch, what was your main opinion about that?
I thought just kind of two things in that the public's reaction, kind of thinking, wow, that's so evil or something. I thought it's actually strategic, like they're operating normally. And two, it was also, to me, just like a for the people saying, well, there's no influence, no foreign state is influencing us, etc. Or like, it's clear that every state wants to do that, including Israel. And why wouldn't they, especially in this time, there's a war going on, etc., blah, blah, blah. So for me, it was just like basic, what is it? Call it basic.
Seems natural for them, right, to want to control what we say.
Well, what I was about to say was it seems like basic evidence for some of that. And then, but yeah, going back to the first point, yeah, I think it seems strategically natural. Like they just want a positive view. I mean, put it like this. They believe lies are being told about Israel and they want to correct those. So that's how they see that. And so, that seems natural to me. Like strategically speaking, especially.
Do you think people are lying? Do you think just people on TikTok are lying?
Yeah, some lies and some truths.
Yeah, but the natural thing is for whatever is truthful to kind of rise to the top when a lot of people are looking at the same thing, and if it's a complete lie and it can be proven as a lie, it's gonna fall to the bottom of the heap. If it's somewhat truthful, it'll rise, and people because you're allowed to question it, you're allowed to write a comment, you're allowed to say, oh, this isn't true, this isn't right. And so basically
sometimes I think you're right. I also think sometimes that
Yeah.
ends up with big lies that stay forever, I don't know. I guess whatever. I mean, that doesn't mean I wanted any. That doesn't mean I still would want to be able to speak freely, but I just don't think what you said is totally true. I think with freedom of speech, lies remain, and people repeat them.
What's always at the top is always true, but I mean, if the fact that we have
That's what I'm getting at.
discourse allows us to challenge the things that are there,
Right.
and if it's not true, you can put up your own evidence. You may give your own video.
Right, but your statement
what
was
it
the
seems like
assumption.
they want to do. It seems like what they want to do is that they want to stop any anti-Israel, content from getting out there or being disseminated through social media.
Maybe
is wrong.
Well,
What
maybe,
do you mean,
but
maybe?
well, you're saying here too. Well, first I want to deal with what you just said, right? Because the statement was an assumption of what's the most popular is going to be true, but that's just so not true. Lies are the most popular, so we're done with that. But and then the comment, it's like, well, they just want to.
Lies are the most popular.
Absolutely, man. You
Not-
really
I mean-
think the truth comes to the top? Let's be real, man.
When you get to the mainstream media, yeah, sure, they're saying a lot of lies. That's a lot of lies for sure.
The
When you think
lies are
of
the
random
most
content
popular thing ever. They're what most people love. That's what remains. The truth is painful. The truth is what people avoid in their individual lives, all the way to the top, to the big picture. Do you disagree?
Okay, well, yeah, there's some merit to that for sure. But what I've been
some
seeing
merit.
lately on social media has been a lot of things that aren't very popular becoming popular now for some reason. You know, a lot of narratives that people didn't question before are being questioned, and a lot of things that, you know, people would think are somewhat controversial. Like, let's say, like, the
That
rise
may
of
be
Nick
somewhat true,
Fuentes, right? Like, yeah, like the rise of Nick Fuentes is one example. Like, he was canceled for the entire, like, since he was 18. You couldn't find him on YouTube. You didn't see clips of him anywhere. He had to make his own channel, Cozy TV, of which JLP is on. And now you can find his clips being disseminated all over for some reason. I mean, it seems like it happened when Elon bought X, and then it just kind of became like this free speech wave that's just kind of like hit the internet, where it's just like, okay, there's no more woke cancel culture anymore. You're not going to get your account banned for saying certain things or questioning certain narratives. So then now it became like things are more open. And I think
that was wrong
thing.
what happened to him, and I think it should be open. We should be just allowed to speak freely, even if it's low IQ anti-Semitism or BS. But look, Nick Fuentes is a unique person. I don't see Nick Fuentes is out there discussing the Jewish question, and Nick Fuentes speaks very well. Hold on, I'll let you speak. He speaks clearly, and he speaks very well. He's very specific and accurate with what he's saying, and so when someone says from the things I hear, right, and personally I just don't see him as someone who would. I don't see him as hateful like people say he is. I think if it came down to it, he would side with, like, if it came down to something where it's like America and Trump or not, it's like he'd side with Trump and America. I think he does. Hold on.
What are you talking about?
Let me speak, man. I think
he blatantly doesn't support Trump.
I'm getting to that. No, I think he supports Trump in America. I think he does. I know he didn't vote for
America. He doesn't support Trump.
That's what I'm getting at. And that's what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying. That's why I said if it came down to it. But anyways, I was saying too though. Hold on.
He's blatantly against Trump because of.
I know. I'm about to comment on that. I know. I'm about to comment on that. I think that's his position. I think he's supposed to do that because, like you said, he was like banned and all that. I think he is filling his role very well. And what's that role of the dissident and of critic, and so it makes so again, and that's why my comment earlier. That's where my comment comes from earlier. I think if it came down to it, though, he'd side with Trump and America, like against whatever. I'm thinking I'm just trying to make up a hypothetical here, but that's just how I see him. That's not what I'm seeing in the public, against anybody who's not America. I mean, like I said, it's a hypothetical with no particular, but look.
But he didn't vote for Trump.
Right. I already said that, and I said that's true. I'm not doubting. I didn't say anything against that, man. I don't know why you keep doing that. But anyways, that's how I see him. But I don't see the public like that.
Support Trump, but he doesn't.
What I said is I think he'd support America, and it came down to it. I think he'd be.
You said America and Trump.
Right. Like what you're not understanding is
there's a difference between America and Trump. He's like, Trump is not America.
No, but Trump is the president right now.
Yeah, he is.
So that's what I mean.
A lot of people have issues with Trump now because of the Epstein files and because of his blatant support of Israel. Like,
and this is what I'm getting at. He would drop those things if it came down to it. What is that came down to it? I don't know. It's kind of a hypothetical, but I'm trying to describe my thoughts of Nick Fuentes, which I don't see him like these other people that you're saying that you're talking about. Because you're saying, wow, there's so much truth coming out, right? Because here's the point of this, what we're talking about here. Truth's coming out. It's coming to the forefront. The truth is getting to the top. And this is what I'm getting at. It's not. Just look at the very people you're talking about. And I'm not talking about Nick Fuentes. We just cleared that up. All these other people are saying hella lies, man.
I didn't mention anyone else.
Yeah, you did. You talked about the public. Yes, you did. I don't know why you're being confrontation with me, man. We're just buddies talking.
I said content creators.
I don't know why you act. I don't know why you're acting. I don't know why you're acting catty with me.
We're just two Canadians talking.
Yeah, but I don't know why you acting catty. I don't know why you being a catty gyal. Why you being a catty gyal? Gyal them.
No, man. I'm challenging you.
Fair enough. Everyone. No. But I know. But you're not. But you're just saying on that. You're saying What on this last thing you just said? It wasn't a challenge, but anyways, what was the last thing you just said?
No, I mean you said that I other people that I talked about, but I didn't mention.
Oh yeah,
anyone
you did.
specifically. I'm just saying content.
I know, not in
creators.
specific, but the public. We're talking about the public and the
Talking about
truth coming to
TikTok,
the top,
basically. Which I'm
which
not even
involves
on.
who?
I'm not even on.
Which involves who? The public and their opinions. Why are you being a cat together? You see, it's like you want to fight. But look, I know you didn't mention it specifically. You meant the public. The public we're talking about. The very public who you're saying the truth is coming to the top, right? And I'm thinking, no, I'm looking at the very same public, and I don't really see Nick Fuentes in them. I see lies coming out of them. It's, even when they're talking about the Jewish stuff, they're going around saying, these are Christ killers, and that's why we shouldn't support them. And it's like, I can see the blindness in them, and so anyways, do you think the truth is coming out of the public? Let me ask
I've
you.
been seeing a lot more truth on my social media than I did previously in previous years. You're seeing Hitler speeches being translated and lots of clips of them being put out there, and you're learning some stuff if you actually listen to them.
And that might be it. But what are you learning there? All you're hearing is those man's real words, which maybe at some point they lied to you about. I don't know about what specific speech, but that's all you heard. All you heard is a man speak for himself. I notice a lot of people that aren't familiar with the time period and so many things, and they're making assumptions. Okay, and so again, I don't see that as truth. Like, yeah, they learned something about, like, they learned about what he said there, but I also see a lot of assumptions made about it. Like, for example, these there's people, there's kind of people who think he did no wrong, and then I kind of look into it, right? Because these are the people who are like, they lied to us about Hitler. I'm like, wow, okay, well, maybe they're saying something here, and I look into it, I'm like, but he did do some wrong. I mean, and it tells me that they're not thinking straight. So that's kind of where I come at it from.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying that Hitler was some type of angel. Like
no,
Jesus
but they are.
Like
That's what you're missing. The very same social media you're describing, they are saying that. They're saying he did no wrong. They're saying they completely lied about him, and so they're going completely the other way. They're completely going the other way and making a mistake. But go ahead.
No, I think that what they're saying is that what he did was the juice was worth the squeeze. The juice.
Maybe you are, but that's not what I'm saying. Right. I understand. Maybe you're saying that.
I'll ask you a specific question based on this whole Hitler World War II thing. So what were the great things that happened to America since World War II? What was America blessed with since World War II?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
What has gotten better in America since World War II?
I'm not sure.
Has crime gotten better? Has the spiritual sense of America gotten better?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Has the economy gotten better? Has the inflation gotten better?
Do you want to talk? What's going on?
Has anything gotten better in America?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Has everything gotten worse?
I don't know how to answer
that question because
some things are better, some things are smaller. Oh, that's where you go with it? Why do you say that?
No, nothing's gotten better. I'll answer it for you. Nothing's gotten better. Everything's gotten worse. America's been cursed ever since World War II.
And so why is that Jewish programming?
Why is that?
No, why is that?
Because it's based on the Hitler myth of the 6 million Jews in the Holocaust.
And so what do you think I think about that?
6 million Jews. Well, I don't know. It seems like you can't answer the question because even though it's completely obvious that everything has gotten worse since then. America used to be a way more moral
hold on.
country,
Hold on. Let's remember what had happened because I'm also interested in like people and why they behave the way they do. And let's remember what happened. You didn't just simply ask me, "Hey, has America gotten worse?" No, you're like, "Hey, Nick, has America gotten worse? How about this? How about that? How about this? How about that?" I'm like, "Nick, wait, hold on, Zenny. Let me think about that." And then you took that whole thing.
Okay.
You stopped listening to me, and you took that as a Jewish programming thing. And I'm like trying to communicate. You're like, "How about this? How about that? How about this?" I'm like, "Well, some of the things you said were. Some of those things may be better. Some of those things I don't know." You said crime. I don't know. I don't know what crime was like pre-World War II. Is that Jewish programming? My bad. But you're mad at me, and it's crazy. That's Jewish programming. You're Jewish. That's Jewish programming because I don't know the answer to that.
You're the one getting mad. No, you're the one getting mad. No, because I called out your Jewish programming, bro. It's not your fault. Everyone has it. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. I'm calling
man.
out. Right. It's not your fault. I'm calling out.
We all went through the same education system made with the same history books created by Jews.
And so, what do you think? What do you think I'm saying about
wrote
that?
The spoils.
This guy's having a conversation with somebody else.
I'm just saying. Like, can you name?
What was the last thing I said?
Better?
What was the last thing I said?
What do you mean about what?
In this conversation, what was the last thing I said?
You got mad because I said you have Jewish programming.
So he's not even having a conversation with me.
No, I am, but
he's being very Jewish.
Couldn't answer the question, and I just called out why.
But you are Jewish. I forgot you are half Jewish.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You've become what
I know
you hate.
these people inside and out, bro.
You've become what you hate.
I know you. Huh?
You've become what you hate.
No. I'm asking specific questions.
Yeah, you're talking to a different person right now. You're talking to a person who is like because I didn't answer. You still don't know my answer to this question about World War II, and you've gone from that conversational point into this thoughts about Jewish programming. No. I'm not offended. No, it's not about offended.
Yeah, you are. You're acting very offended, man.
No. I'm just trying to
go away from the topic we were talking about.
No. Hold on.
You're trying to understand my psychology or whatever. Just answer the question.
Thank you for saying what was happening. Wait, Zenny, calm down. Thank you for answering what was happening. Zenny, calm down. I'm trying to answer you.
Yeah.
Zenny, calm down.
No, answer the question. Answer the question I asked you. Don't go into the psychology.
I already answered you.
BS, bro.
This guy's having a conversation with another person.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know if crime's gone. So in the 1930s.
But I'm not saying no. Zenny, calm down. What's wrong with you? But I'm not saying no.
Crime was worse in the 1930s when there was
I'm not saying no, Zenny.
Black people and
we could take a moment here, right? We could just take a moment here. Hey, Zenny?
A little logical.
Oh, okay. We'll just take a moment here. I'm not saying no. He's gone off on this other thing. This is your Christian brother. This is how your Christian brother is going to treat you. That's amazing. And you want to say the Jews are our worst problem. Look, there may be issues there. But I hear Mark calling in the hate report, full of hate. I hear your Christian brothers calling in, assumptions, don't even want to talk, just want to fight. And then I'm describing the psychology, not out of my offense, but out of like describing what's important to me. Jews are important to him. The internal world is important to me. And in trying to describe that, right? And he hung up on me. Oh, wow. Crashing out. What happened, Zenny? I thought you wanted to talk. And now he hung up on me. Okay. You know, this is a Christian brother to you. I'm not saying no to what he said. I'm just trying to talk. I'm trying to hear him out. He made an assumption. We had a conversational moment where he's like, do you think it's worse? I'm like, and he's hitting me rapid fire. Is this, because he already had an answer in his back pocket. He was gonna gotcha me. I didn't answer his rapid fire enough. And he's treating his Christian brother like this. Like, okay, Jewish shill, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that wasn't even the proper this is what I'm trying to get at. That wasn't even the proper time to call me a Jewish shill. The proper time to call me a Jewish shill would be like, I don't know. There are very other moments, but that wasn't the moment. That was, if you were to call me a Jewish shill at that moment, it's because you were in your head. There's way better moments to call me a Jewish shill. But anyways, this is what fascinates me, like the psychology of it. So I know that talking about it endlessly seems like, I guess you're offended, but I'm not feeling that at all. So you can think that if you want. Conversationally, we reveal how we're feeling inside, and that fascinates me. Because isn't love the most important thing? I may not know the facts like all of you, but I know that if you don't have love, the facts won't matter. Is that too simple? That's how I think. That is how I seriously think. But anyways, 844-900-2229 if you want to discuss it. If you want to talk about stuff here. That's how I think. Anyways. Let me see. We got calls. Who's been waiting the longest? Chicago on the line. How you doing, sir?
Fantastic, Nick. How are you?
All is well. Who am I speaking with?
This is John Gray from Chicago.
Welcome, John. Appreciate your call. Go ahead.
The one y'all all think is a liar.
Wait. Wait, what are you talking about?
This is John Gray from Chicago. This is always in the chat, and I just called about Israel. A trip in 2005.
I don't know why I'm not understanding you, John. Are you saying so you're saying we call you a liar? What are you saying?
No, I'm teasing. I tell some outlandish stories in the chat.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not convinced anybody believes a word of it. And so you're talking about Israel, and
Yeah.
I was there in 2005 when they were giving Gaza over.
Oh, what was happening then?
No, I'm teasing, Nick. I have some crazy stories is all.
No, I'm no problem with that. No, I've moved on from that. No problem at all. But you said you went to Israel in 2005, and you said that they were giving over.
Yeah,
something?
no, I'm not.
Tell me about that.
We've moved on from the liar part. So I just said I had a wonderful trip. Saw all the holy sites, foreign and domestic, and had a fantastic time.
And you said they were giving over something in 2005?
Yeah, I was there in August 2005, right when Gaza was being given to what eventually turned into Hamas.
Oh. Yeah, tell me. I'm not familiar with this. Tell me about
August
it.
2005, they were dragging, the rabbis didn't want to leave the temples because they knew they would be desecrated the moment they left. So, we were in the hotel watching the news every night, watching rabbis being dragged by the IDF out of Gaza so that the Palestinians could have their state. And that was their state. They had a state. There was a Palestinian state, and they ruined it.
Gotcha. You mean themselves?
Correct. They had every opportunity to make Gaza a wonderful place. Streets of gold.
I've heard some of this. And it's the type of thing that it leaves me with questions.
Well, I don't know if I have any answers.
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me yourself that this was an area given it to them, and they had the opportunity to make it well, and we're looking at it now. It's become a mess.
They physically removed every Israeli from there.
Is that true? I'm not denying it. I didn't know any of this.
The IDF was dragging. We were watching on the news. The IDF was literally dragging the rabbis from the temples.
Because there were Israelis in the area that is now known that they're trying to make Gaza and all that.
Exactly.
And they took the Israelis out of there.
Was there? It
was that correct. Ethnic cleansing? Was that ethnic cleansing of the Jews in that area?
Absolutely. But if you look at the old map, technically Gaza was supposed to be part of, it came off of Egypt. That never made any sense. It was just that little stick off of Egypt. So it always should have been part of Israel. So it was taken in 48 or 63 or whenever. But at that time, all the Israelis left and said, this is Palestine, this is Gaza. They elected Hamas and built tunnels instead of, they bought weapons and made tunnels instead of making their country nice.
I've heard some of this. Yeah, I've heard some of this. Because I can believe that a nation is not. I can believe some things that we don't have necessarily just friends everywhere, and that Israel may want to influence us, and maybe it's not all positive. I could believe some of that, but also it's like those same people. They don't know if it's true or not that Hamas is putting those civilians in where they are so that they could use them as shields and some of the stuff you said. They'll say, I don't know about that stuff, but if it's true, which I think it is,
that's pretty
then
no.
Right, it's like a bigger story than they say.
For 50 years, it's a tactic, and it's a shame, and it's been lied about, and I don't even They do that. That's not made up.
Well, man, I appreciate it, John. What else did you want to talk about here?
Yeah, no, they absolutely do all the things that they're accused of. They hide weapons under schools, under hospitals. They do everything in their power to make the Israelis look like the bad guys, and sometimes they are. There's no good guys in a war like that.
You're talking about the Israelis.
Correct. You know, there's plenty of blame for both sides, but they really are those. That's not a lie that they hide arms and stuff under hospitals and schools. That's well documented.
Interesting, John. Man, I appreciate it. Anything else you want to speak on?
Well, thanks. And like I said, I just grew up in Chicago, and I knew a lot of people, and so I joke a lot. But if I say some little stupid story is true, it probably is. Because I've been everywhere, man.
I just hear things out. You know, I hear things out.
Yeah, no,
I just hear stuff.
I
I let it go in one ear, out the other.
I didn't. Right. I just wanted to call in so your chat knows I'm not a bot.
Okay.
Really about
well, how do we really know
I
this?
love you,
with
love
the
your
with the
show.
technology today, this could be a very sophisticated AI. How do we know?
That's
Look,
true.
I've been saying this for years.
They've been.
I think some of our haters, maybe in the comments, maybe they're just like evil pieces of. And I'm talking about you. I'm not thinking of anyone in particular.
But
But
evil bots.
right, or and I think, or even further, even deeper, like no one created it. It was like aberrant evil on the internet caused code to just accidentally come together and create Marcus Jones or something like that, like a hater in our chat. Like, but anyways, that's just my conspiracy.
Well, I'm just a Gemini, so that's why I'm on both sides.
Oh no! Stop identifying with Gemini. John, man, I appreciate your call. Go ahead.
They don't believe I was born on Juneteenth.
You said you were born on Juneteenth? What a day.
Yeah, they don't. Huh?
What a day.
Yeah.
Well, John,
I'm glad they made it a holiday.
There's a real voice to John, chat.
You guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the other side.
Sir, take care. Call me again.
We'll see you on JLP tomorrow is what I meant.
Bingo. Take care, man.
Love you. Thank you.
Oh, love you back. I love you back. Did he hear me, chat? Do you think he heard me? No. What do y'all argue about in chat, man? I should let it go, but he called me a Canadian brother. And he's going to think I'm offended, but I'm pointing this one out, Zenny, because it's so crazy. No one is squirming, but if Nick doesn't want to answer the straight-up question and not question the Jewish programming that stopped him from answering that simple question, then whatever, no point. Chat, the question, remember, this is what the big controversial question was that the Jews stopped me from answering. Is America better or worse than World War II? What Zenny doesn't realize is, like, I like to think things through a bit, maybe a little too much. And it's like, well, what's the proper answer to that? Is crime better or not? I can guess that it's worse, but that's only from that's only from the data I've seen. I have not verified it. That's how I think sometimes. And if only, but Zenny doesn't want to treat me like a Christian brother. It's not that deep. I saw this message, Zenny, and it showed me clearly the wrongness in your thinking. Remember, this is the story. This is the narrative. The big controversial question is that the Jews stopped me from answering is America better or worse than World War II? So we were talking about Adam Lanza. Talk about a segue. I forgot this was supposed to be a bit of a segue. You know, like autistic / furry / Adam Lanza, antinatalism. What's going on in the people, right? it was supposed to be a bit of a funny segue into mamas. This was funny. And maybe not that funny. It's maybe not that funny. But it's kind of funny. But it's kind of terrible. My autistic son just asked if I took Tylenol while pregnant. People are missing the real issues amid the debate. Oh. Somebody help Carrie. Carrie over here. This Tylenol debate with the president is starting to make I'll get to calls. I see you in queue. 844-900-2229 right after this. Yeah, my kid, he's asking me questions that are making me uncomfortable, Trump. Can you stop it? But I'm sitting here thinking, what's the answer to the question? So the article reads, did you take Tylenol while you were pregnant with me? My 21-year-old son, Jack, texted me this just minutes after President Trump's press conference in which he linked autism and Tylenol. Jack was diagnosed at 18 months old. How do you get diagnosed 18 months old? Wait, hold up. That's just like... that's just like less than 2 years old? That's not even 2 years old? How do you get diagnosed with autism less than 2 years old? And what is going on with Jack? In this picture, he seems like a fine dude, but like, what is he 21 living at home? How behind is Jack? Is he even behind? Is he only somewhat behind, but part of it is to the mama spirit? It's bad enough that you got something. Why make it worse by telling them you're different and saying, hey, you can be weaker, you could be less. You don't have to act and behave and have the same right. Can a person who can't use their legs stand up? Well, no. But should that person still be a stand-up person in civilization or try their best to be? Yes. And I think the same goes with even mental problems. So-called mental problems. And what is the answer to the question, Carrie? How come you're not answering his question? You're here on New York Post making a big old article. My breath caught. My stomach sank. I felt empty. Oh, wait. Now he seemed to be asking me, did I cause this? My breath caught. My stomach sank. I felt empty, oddly disconnected for a moment. Jack was 8 years old when we told him he had autism. Since then, it has never been a secret in our house. We speak openly about his gifts, his vulnerabilities, and what his future may look like. And I don't know what it's like raising a kid like this, but this is and again, autism is a spectrum, right? So it's not all the same. But this is the first time he's asked about the origin of his disability, and for once, I didn't know how to answer him. What's the answer, Carrie? Carrie didn't know. We didn't have Trump when Carrie was taking Tylenol, where she was having where she had a baby. Whether you love or loathe the most recent political narrative, we are now paying attention. Autism is once again in the spotlight. This is good. This is where the work is. What causes autism? This makes me think of we need a care. We need a system of care. When it's like we already have that, that's not what it is. That's not what's working. What causes autism? With numbers continuing to rise, this is an important question worth pursuing, even if the agenda of the pursuer remains unclear. The new report from the Department of Health and Human Services says using acetaminophen can increase the risk of autism. That's not quite what the science says. The science, I wonder what study, right? These studies by who? Where's the money? Studies showing association, not causation. Oh, remember what I was telling you when we were talking about Tylenol? About the causal link? That doesn't mean there's no association. In fact, many times when there's no causal link, there is heavy association. But because it's not causal, the medical world will reserve telling a pharmaceutical company, you use their American rights. It's just like I'm making some stuff up here, but like the thinking. I'm trying to describe some of the thinking here. It's like, where's the common sense is what is the point I'm trying to make, right? Causal link, right? I'm being so educated and expert and I'm following the books, but any common sense person would would want to know the associated stuff too. When it comes to their health and it comes to risks, I think most people, even if it's not causal, and it's like, hey, we're the experts, you dumb. We're the experts, you peasants. You let us think for you. And there's no causal link. It's like, no, I think people want to know the associated stuff too. But, the overlords, it's like, the people who are smarter than you, they think they're smarter than you. They think you knowing the associated stuff is dangerous. You're going to come up with weird things. What, are you going to start taking ivermectin? And then they have their judgments, and it becomes a political thing. I want to know the associations. I don't need to know them all, but if I want to know them, they should be there for me to know them if I want to look them up. You feel me? 1 in 12 USA boys are born autistic. That's insane and unheard of in history, even inbred Arab countries. Shout out Mena. I don't know where you got that from, but I know that I heard the 1 in 12 thing from Trump, and I definitely heard and saw the evidence, the laid out inbred Arab stuff in Pakistan by Gavin McInnes. So I'm familiar. Mena. For 2 decades now, guilt has hovered around my peripheral like smoke at a campfire. This accusation feels particularly personal. Huh? So what's the answer to the question, Mom? Huh? When are you going to tell me the truth? Parents of diagnosed children are encouraged to look for the silver lining. At least he talks. At least you have other kids. At least you have the resources for services. What? For many, the future is tinged with darkness. Adults in diapers, aggressive behaviors. Ooh, that's the side you don't realize. Adults in diapers, aggressive behaviors. There's one comment that I sometimes reserve concerning the sick, disabled, the adults in diapers with aggressive behaviors. How do I put this? And I'll get to callers right after this. And I know people are going to mischaracterize this and say I'm saying things that I'm not saying. But I look at a commercial like this.
This is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta or brittle bone.
Where was it? You know these Shriners ads?
Possibility. At Shriners Children's, we deliver healing to kids with critical burn injuries, like game-changing advances in regenerative medicine, proving time.
There's better ones, but these ads for these people, these children, right? These children with terrible genetic things, or born with terrible conditions, or injuries, missing limbs, mental stuff. These, how do I put this? Because the children, the children are the children, right? And for example, I remember being so well taken care of by Toronto sick kids when I was young and having this crazy asthma attacks. And I remember I was helped deep. I was helped a lot. It was going to be very expensive, but it was totally free. And it was besides the socialized healthcare of Canada. This is not me saying we need that. Because what I remember I was told specifically that, because it's not all free, socialized healthcare is socialized, but what was happening to me wasn't going to be free, but sick kids paid for it. That's what I was told. And so I remember donating to sick kids. I don't know, just call it an emotional thing, but I remember seeing the sick kids baskets and I was like, hey, it makes sense. So I understand the children and they need help, and I understand charity. So that's not a commentary on that. It's not a commentary. I don't want any harm to happening to them. But I remember I watched this and I think to myself, because I'll hear the commercial and the lady and the music, and they'll say, support this. You need to support this more than ever. And maybe Shriners is a bad example, because maybe they do need it because they're like sick children and no other, very little helps them other than charity. But there's something about, how do I put this? if you support something, you make it grow. This is kind of the thinking that spawns this, because how do I put this? I mean, I don't want people to die. That's not me saying, I'm not saying, oh, if a child is born with something terrible, just let him die on the operation table or something, because, they're not going to survive any other way. Survival of the fittest. I'm not thinking that. But I think about mental health and how we supported that more than ever. And what's that? All that's done is grown. We support the disabled. We support the sad and the depressed. We need to support the sad and the depressed, and that's gotten worse than ever. They're more depressed and more than ever. They're weaker than ever, and justified more than ever because it's a sickness. It's apparently something you take pills for. What we support, I don't know. Is it really? Are we really that? Are we? Because we think to ourselves, we're like a really nice society, right? Look at us. Look at how charitable we are. We're such a moral. We're the shining light, shining city of the world.
Now,
look at how moral we are. Look at what we support. I don't know if it's that simple. Again, there's a place for it. I think I don't want death. I don't want suffering. But I don't know if we are automatically good, moral, charitable people because we support sick people, people that have no cure, people that I don't know if we are. We're not just good just basically for that, right? In fact, we may very well be making all that worse. And that's just kind of the things I'm thinking of. What do you think? Because that's what she's saying here. She's like, adults in diapers, aggressive behaviors. But the world wants to support that. You feel me? So enough about this. Let's get to these. Let's run through these callers in the last bit of the show. I appreciate the patience. Incredible. We got California on the air. Who am I speaking with? I think we got Justin out of California on the air. Justin going once. We're going to get right back to you, Justin, here in a moment. We'll see if you were just muted. I want to get to Frank. I got Frank, Florida, on the air.
Hey.
How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Anchor Baby? I'm well, thank you. How about you?
No complaints here, man. Thank you.
First-time caller, might add that.
Hey, deep.
And a quick question. Did you do that kind of that dance mix with Jesse that was playing before his show, maybe Monday? It's kind of like a Timu Pogo kind of.
Is it like a dance mix? And what was it Jesse? Was it a remix of Jesse?
Yeah.
What was he saying?
It was like a remix of Jesse. Like
I haven't. I'll tell you right now, I haven't made any of those remixes. I didn't make any of those.
Whoever did it, my tip of the cap to whoever did that.
Those are great. I'm trying to pinpoint which one you were hearing because there's some made by one guy named DJ Hardmouse. There's others made by an individual named Trevor Wesley, and they're on YouTube if you want to check them out. Like those songs that you heard on the JLP show.
DJ Hardmouse, did you say?
DJ Hardmouse, Mous. Apologies.
Hardmouse. Okay.
Yep.
DJ Hardmouse. Let's work on that handle you got there. Anyway, but what encouraged me to call in? The fellow who's giving you a hard time about was America better off now or before World War II?
Mm-hmm.
And let me just clarify that, and with a definite better off now than pre-World War II. Let me paint a picture.
Okay.
We were in the depths of depression, 25% unemployment, bread lines, Dust Bowl all across the Midwest. People living, kids, feral kids roaming the streets.
Can't hear caller. Hold on. Chat, are you still unable to hear the caller? Can't hear this guy, FYI, Nit.
Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. You're hearing me. I got you unmuted on OBS. No, wait, hold on.
And I got to tell you,
I just want to make sure that it's not
the,
an audio problem, and it's just volume. Raise the levels. Okay, it's merely volume. We got you loud and clear. I appreciate it, man. And this is super interesting. Please keep going.
well, the guys in the Rumble chat, they're heathens anyway, so we don't care if they can hear me or not.
Get wrecked.
But yeah, America was in terrible shape, and we had all kind of programs going on. The government was trying to support everybody, but to no avail. You had the CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps. You had all kind of work programs, and they were building parks and forestry, and kids 13 years old. They were just people that had kids, and most families had a lot of kids. So they would just, 13 or older, they'd ship them off to these work camps that were run by the military, basically. And my father was one of them, and so he was born, just after World War I and pre-World War. And we went from the roaring 20s into a deep depression, and it was miserable at that time. And if it wasn't for World War II is what pulled America out of that malaise and that funk. So that answers that question. Yeah, we are vastly better off now. And now there's a lot of people who are trying to make it bad and who wish that we were in the pit that we were then. But those are the people who would try to profit from it, by gaining power. And if you don't think so, just look at what they do. Let's use COVID as an example. Look at all of the people who looked at COVID as an opportunity to seize control. That's all they wanted to do. But as soon as they got a little power, they wanted all of it. Look at California, man. And you guys are in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to explain to you, man. Remember when they filled all the skate parks full of dirt? And they were arresting people that were out there by themselves. They were out there by themselves on a board, a paddle board, right? By themselves, and we got to dispatch, 4 or 5 cops to go get them, right?
That's right.
Who was that? That wasn't Republicans. That wasn't the right. That wasn't normal people that were common sense. That was people who had no intention of letting that power slip between their fingers. And you have them doing the same thing now, who would gladly put us in the same situation we were in before World War II. They would gladly see this country burning, and in 30% unemployment, if it meant an opportunity to grab power. I mean, they would do it as a prophylactic measure. So
interesting.
Let me get that guy straight. And so I guess that makes me a Jewish shield too.
The Jews made you say that one. Hey, I appreciate this because I didn't know some of this, and but instinctually I gathered that, materially speaking, just in many ways, quality of life in those ways, like it's just for the average person. I think you can't compare, and that was just me thinking instinctually. Now let me ask you this though: do you think there's any merit to the how do I paint this picture for you? Because although I think, in these things that you mentioned, the quality of life, I mean, these things that you just can't beat, I mean, they're just better. You can't compare to that time period. What do you think about the conversation what do you think about the characterization or the comparison of other things of modern life compared to pre-World War II? Like, for example, what do you think those people that fought in that war, what would they think about, like, the low birth rates and the whites being replaced and the white genocide in these countries, and the great American cities being basically they've moved out all the decent people, all the white folks ran from the great Americans, pretty much every great American city, they've run from the great American cities due to crime, etc. What do you think about that conversation, and does it have any? Yeah, does it paint a picture for you? Does it make a poignant point in today's America? What are your thoughts?
Here's what I think. If you go to the the military cemeteries in France. And you walk over these beautifully manicured cemeteries with all the grave markers of all the gallant men that died on Omaha Beach and in the war in Europe. And it's serene and quiet, and you listen closely, and you hear this whining noise. It's like a high-pitched whining noise. That's all of those men spinning in their graves like turbine engines, okay? That's what I think.
Uh-huh.
That's you hear that? That's all those men spinning in their graves, thinking that that's what they died for.
Right.
For it to be like today. That's my opinion.
That's the part of Zenny's conversation that I wanted to get to, that I do understand, and I wanted to, because if you drop the give the hard time over the little detail, there was an overarching kind of point, which is, well, if this is winning World War II, I mean, some of it I wouldn't call it wins. And it's that part that is interesting, because I think you agree with me. They'd be spinning their graves.
Look, it took a few generations to get here, and this all started to go. Look, those people back then, that's when men were men. All right, and you look at the 30s, the 20s, the 30s. The quality of the character of people and of Americans. My family emigrated from Sicily and from northern Spain in the late 1800s. In fact, my family moved into Tampa in 1890. And we weren't welcomed by the Americani, okay? But now, in fact, we weren't considered white. We weren't welcome. Now, there's no place for me to check, Sicilian. No, I'm white now. So, yay. That's a recent, kind of thing. So, does that mean somebody owes me something, or that, look Sicily, guys. People want to complain about slavery. Sicily, one of the most conquered places in the world. Going back to the Carthaginians, the Greeks, the you name it, man. Everybody conquered Sicily, man.
Everybody was slaves, right?
Dumb, farmers. Yeah, and so who owes us now because of what? The matter is, my friend, does not affect me. I wasn't there. Nobody enslaved me. I have every opportunity, and for people. And you look at Serena Williams, she was mortified because there was a cotton plant.
Silly person, really.
In her hotel.
That's
in her
not
five-star hotel.
Not a real person. Like you cannot live life like that. You cannot live a normal life.
He's worth $300 million. So we are so systemically racist here that this black chick can make $300 million playing tennis. That's how bad we are here. We owe everybody something.
You notice how she went? You notice how she went straight to picking it, though?
Yeah, it's instinctive, man. She couldn't help herself. It's in the genes. So what do you want, man?
Making jokes.
This country offers the largesse we give away to everybody all over the world, and everybody has become spoiled brats and ungrateful. And it's time that Big Daddy Trump gave a little spank into that culo to the rest of the world. And if you want to get psyched, you want to get pumped, listen to his impromptu speech to the UN. To all those ungrateful that they come over here once a year and the place loads up with hookers. Most of them white, by the way.
Who said this?
To service these people, they go back to their country where they can't do over there what they do here. That's for sure. So
incredible, Frank. Anyway, I appreciate your call, man.
You're doing great, man. Keep it up.
Call me again, sir. Folks, I want to get to all of you. Calls coming in back to back. Rick, I wanted to get to you. California calling me back. Justin, I wanted to get to you. Sorry about that. Look at the time. We've made it to the end here. Let me check these super chats and coffees and all that very quickly before we go. Cheddar Bob, thank you. We appreciate you donating for the BBL support. Remember, chat, make sure you donate to support the Anchor Baby getting a BBL. It's a career move. If the ladies can do it, I could do it. And again, remember, we're getting a BBL to spread the message. It's for Bond. It's for Jesus. It's for a good cause. Thank you so much for all that. My viewers on rumble.com. Thank you, Creighton. Thank you, Son of Liberty. Thank you for all that support. Just a quick check before we go. My callers, I do apologize. I wish I could get to all of you. Karmic, thank you for that. Says, should foreigners criticize America? I mean, yeah. Not in our government, though. Not in our government, and not in our government. And I'm definitely willing to have questions and a conversation about money, foreign influence, openly paying to influence us. Steven Santiago says, your headphones. 100. Appreciate the support there. Tado with the super chat says, stop lamenting, start repenting, Anchor Baby. And yes, Gunner, Cloud Bops, all the super chats I didn't get to yesterday because I had to go so quickly. Thank you so much. Says, thanks for the dialogue from Yes Gunner. Great call. Call me back sometime. Cloud Bops, donating for the BBL. Thank you very much. Steven Santiago says, I'll admit your intro is cool, though. People have been missing that Anchor Baby intro as we do it since we've been here in the lab lately. But, folks, what can I say? I do appreciate it. You being with me today. I'll be back tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby, JLP Show, and beyond the Bond Network. Take care for now. Peace.